Hello and welcome back to Unlikely Connections. I'm your host, Steph.
And I'm your co-host, Kellin.
And today we are going to talk to you about how were you able to fund your drug use?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's many ways to make money in this world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, for sure. Well, and at first, I kind of didn't really have to do much besides sell the pills, because initially it started off, it was the prescription pills.
Mm-hmm.
And so like selling some of those, it was stupid because selling them made me short at the end of the month, but it also meant that I could have some money to spend and things like that. And I also, the one of the more boring answers is that like I worked. So for for a
I
while,
funded my drug use
yeah,
through working.
through
Look
the
at you.
generous tips of the customers at the
Oh.
restaurants but then there would of course then reached a point where I was no longer like employable and things like that. And so when I was like homeless and grimy and things like that, it was mostly theft. There was also a period where I would deal like other drugs to be able to fund that. But one of the ways eventually down the line that I was able to get money is through like retail theft, right? I got so good at stealing like high-end clothing that like the quality level for them to be willing to buy it and be willing to give you enough money to make it worth like getting fucking arrested,
Mhm.
So and to answer your question, like I don't know. I still to this day am like, I must have had like the fucking angels of theft like on my side, because there was times where I was just like, well, how am I getting away with this? Like the amount of stuff that I'm stealing and the people not. But the key really was pretending like you belong there, dressing decently enough, and like moving slowly enough that you don't come off as sketchy,
So you're
pretend you
blending
belong,
in,
blend in. Like
yeah.
pretend you belong there and you shop there and whatever. I mean, the other move that I would use would be to hold like a receipt. So if I'm walking out with like a big ticket item, like a TV or something like that, I'm gonna hold a receipt in one of my hands while like holding the cart with the other hand and like pushing out. And the employees in general, two things tend to be true. They either don't give a shit because they're not paid well enough to give a shit, or they're fucking dense enough that they just don't. They're like, oh, it looks like he's holding a receipt. It's probably all good. But yeah.
Do you think that they have like a perception of what a criminal, air quote, would look like?
100%.
So like, you don't meet that
you were just
definition, I would say. If we walked into a store, they'd probably be looking at me.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
well, that for sure. Yeah,
Or probably they wouldn't look at us.
They
Honestly,
probably wouldn't look at us.
Probably.
Either of us. And you were just saying off camera before we started filming, like, dude, like sometimes you come off as like you're fucking lying because you don't look like the life you've had and the things you've done. And I think part of the reason I was able to do it for so long and for some of these really wild, intense ways that I participated in that life without getting caught was because I just didn't look didn't look the part. And yeah, that's everything. If you're in an area, I mean the area we live in is mostly like middle class, upper middle class, and super rich people. And so if you look a little bit preppy and kind of try to dress the part, which got harder and harder as I was like living in my car and getting to be like a grimier addict kind of person, like it got more difficult to be
like cleaned up,
shaven up
looking, shaved.
and looking good enough to blend in and to not like call attention to myself. But
so you would steal these items and get the money for them from wherever,
right,
and then buy the drugs. And how long would that last?
Oh fuck, dude, I was having to steal, like if I wasn't working, I was having to steal like often, every other day maybe.
Okay.
So yeah, like
so if you made like $100, then you'd have to do it again.
Yeah, my habit at times was like a $200 a day habit.
Wow.
That
It's like a car payment.
Yeah, dude, a day though. A day.
Oh shit. I didn't even think of that.
Day, yeah.
I was putting that in perspective of monthly.
No, right. No, it's like $200 a day. Now, you can only maintain that for a certain amount of time before you're fucked, right? Out of money and everything. And then your tolerance levels are so high that you can't. It was not a good thing to be at that level of drug consumption because it's unsustainable. But so more average times though, yeah, I would probably have to be stealing at least 3 times a week because the amount of money that I'm getting is probably closer to like $100 for whatever way that I'm selling the goods. And that I can stretch that $100 into, again, depending on where my levels are at, like with consumption, into probably a day and a half, you know?
Yeah. Do you use the same dealer every time, or is it like a location that just to go to?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. So I was on this is actually what we should probably talk about is dispatch dope. And so
dispatch dope.
dispatch dope is like
is dispatch dope.
dude, dispatch dope is like the best. You're like,
Oh.
you don't have any of it's a business, right? So they have literal hours. They're open usually at like 9 a.m. and then they close sometime around. In the summers, they would stay open a little later because there's sunlight out later. Like the drivers don't like to be driving around after dark, but in the winter it gets dark so early they couldn't shut down at 5 o'clock. So they would generally they're open till like 8 o'clock. Anyways.
I love that you're saying that they're open.
Yeah.
like I picture a business or like
right. Oh yeah.
like a makeshift business, front.
Right.
You just come in, knock 3 times.
Dude, it was the best when I found dispatch dope because it used to be like during especially the prescription drug times, that was like a lot of like networking and waiting on other addicts, which they'll be like, yeah, I'll come meet you, I'll be right there. And you'll be sitting there fucking 2 hours later or something. Like that was horrific. I hated that. And
which would probably be scary to like get caught.
I mean, getting caught, but also just annoying to have to like sit and wait for your drugs for 2 hours. You got because you need them, but maybe you got to get to again. These are like I was still kind of functioning at these points in my life, and so it wasn't like I just had all day to sit around and wait for the dealer. Even if it was like shit, I got to get to the store to steal some shit before they close. Like I got a schedule, bitch.
You're like, I gotta go, motherfucker.
Yeah. So when I discovered dispatch dope, basically how it works is you call a phone number and the guy, he says, okay, go to this intersection, and you go to, and usually it's in a neighborhood, like in the neighborhoods that they would send us to were like upper middle class neighborhood. You don't want to get too high up because then there's too many like stay-at-home moms like keeping eyes and being around, walking and doing shit like this, but like kind of upper working class neighborhoods, because then there's enough going on that you can blend in, but not a bunch of people who aren't employed that are just sitting around rich, wanting to be nosy. And so he says, okay, go to this little like neighborhood, intersection. You go and you wait on that street and you wait for the car to drive by. And at first, the very first time ever, you have to like ask him like, well, what am I looking for? And he'll very like reluctantly say what kind of car it is, usually not even try to be too detailed about it because he doesn't want to be on the phone saying what kind of vehicle,
is going to show
up kind of shit. Right. But then after that first time, you generally know, maybe they have between 1 and 3 cars that they drive, and so you get to know which cars those are, and you sit there and you wait, not long either. So he says, go to this intersection. You go to that intersection and you call him and you say, I'm here. All right, cool. And then within fucking 10 minutes usually.
Shit.
Oh yeah, dude.
DoorDash don't even do that.
No, dude, real fast. And they're coming by. And so you see the car, you follow the car, and he goes around a few different blocks. He parks. If I'm alone and I'm the only one in the car, then I leave my car wherever he is parked, jump in with him, and he drives around while we do the exchange. And then he drives me close to where my car was, maybe a block or 2 from where my car was. I walk from there, jump in my car, and we're done. If there's someone in the car with me, or if I'm being driven by someone, then same scenario. Call the dude, we need some shit. All right, go to this intersection, go, park there, wait, or call him again. We're here. Wait for the car to go by. And then we follow that car and we do the same process, except for instead of what he does is he then pulls over. I jump out of the car that I'm in into his car. And then he drives around and whoever was driving with me follows him around while we're doing the exchange. He lets me out. I jump back in the other car and we're gone. It's all very quick. It's all in motion. There's like, you're not doing it in one spot. You're not doing it in the same spots usually. Like the intersections would repeat, like as far as where he told me to go wait, but he would change that up a lot. And I used the same guys for like 6 years. So it obviously worked well enough.
Is this like something that's like in every state that you know of? Or like, it's in every state?
Yeah.
So like if you're traveling and you're like, hey.
Oh, no, I wouldn't be able to use like.
Or do you have to know somebody before? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it seems like it would be very easy to get caught if they're just like open demand for randos to come through.
No. That's so good question. No, that phone number is fucking gold. Like having that connection and the trust with the person on the other end of the line. The trust really, what it takes is just like showing up, not being a sketchy weirdo and having the money 2 or 3 times, and then they trust you, right? And you're good. And usually you're seeing these guys every day because it's an addiction that you know, if not every other day. And so you build that. So yeah, it exists in other states, but it's not going to be the same group or the same,
right?
Yeah, anything like that.
They're franchised.
Yeah, they're franchised.
They're just like, no, like,
well,
the fuck?
The beauty of it, and it's like, I've actually read.
Because in my head, it was like this sketchy ass fucking person in the park that you just like randomly be like, go up and be like, hey, you holding anything?
Right.
You know? And then them looking at you up and down being like, yeah, what you want? Like, that's how I figured it would be. Not this fucking.
Not like, this business kind
this
of shit.
Straight up hours business. That's like.
It's nuts. It's nuts. And there is that, of course. There's like the go approach someone. I can't say that I ever did it that way because that just felt like an easy way to get your money stolen and or get some bullshit product or whatever. But yeah, the dispatch dope guys, I used them for like 6 years. And the beauty of it, it's a model. So I've read books on addiction and the opioid epidemic and stuff like that. And it's actually, one of the books actually documented it a little bit as far as it being a common way that like they sell the heroin. But it's, that model has been passed down from whatever the organized crime group is, like, has passed that model down to their people, and like it became a very popular model. And I'll tell you the reason why is because the driver is oftentimes somebody who has snuck over the border, is here illegally, and is in between construction job or whatever. It's just a regular dude. The guy driving around with like a couple $1,000s worth of heroin and cocaine is just also used to work in the kitchen or whatever, you know.
Okay, so you like know these people.
I mean, I don't know them, but that's like the level of criminal that they are. They're not like drug dealers. They become it very fast because they're doing it, you know, I don't know how many times, 50, 100 times in a day. So a week worth of work, and you're pretty familiar with how to do this job, right? But these guys would swap out their driver every 6 months ish. And they would also swap out their car every 6 months ish. Because just familiarity, you know, is not something you want when you're dealing drugs in that way. Because you're out in that car every day, driving around, stopping in places like that. And there are moments that you're likely to get caught, you know, and so they would switch these drivers out. And so then that driver then goes back to his life. He either goes back over the border and goes back home.
And no one could know the difference. Like he's going back to his job. Yeah. Like he went to lunch. He's like, oh yeah, I got a burrito.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. And they take lunch actually. So that's fucking hilarious you say that.
I'm like, what the hell? I'm going to be looking at people different. I'm going to be like, where are you going? Why do you got a new car every 6 months?
Yeah, right. Well, and I don't think that they were even allowed to drive that car during their normal life.
So this is like a pickup.
Yeah. The guy on the phone that I'm calling, the dispatch guy, he's like the drug dealer. And in all reality, he's probably more likely like the drug dealer's like nephew or son or, you know, somebody very close to them who just sits around and operates the phone while he's playing fucking video games and gets paid for it, right?
Yeah.
And so he's the drug dealer, and whoever's supplying him, they're like the real drug dealers. Like, yeah, these other guys driving around doing the drug deals are technically that, but they're not going to be, they're disposable in a way. And they're also afraid because it's organized crime. So they know if they get caught and they say something that they're going to be harmed or killed. And so they do it at high risk, but there's also high pay, I imagine. I never really got a straight answer on how much they were getting paid, but they were getting high pay in relation to like what they were used to. So like landscaping money, or like, you know, wherever country they were from, below the border money, you know. And so they're coming and they're getting paid, let's say, my guess was that they were getting paid somewhere between like $200 and $400 a day for that.
Oh, wow. That's a huge
that's a huge
chunk of change.
Yeah. Because it has to be enough for them to be willing to do the job and risk getting caught. And it can't be so much that you're not making good money or whatever, right?
Right. And this was over 15 years ago, guys. So our listeners need to know that that was $200 that they were making 15 years ago, not in this time period.
Yeah.
Well, and so I'm sure it's probably higher now.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with gas prices.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck no, dude. I ain't coming out for a cool meal.
Right.
Just kidding.
Well, no, but for real though. And I think even, I'm trying to think of like, no, I would have been like 2016, I would have still been doing so, even as recent as 10 years ago.
Okay, about 10 years.
Yeah, that I would have been using those guys. But yeah, as long ago as 15 years ago. And so the drivers change out, the cars change out, but the dispatch stays the same. And yeah, they take lunch. You'll call sometimes and they'll be like, yeah, like he's on lunch. You gotta, you know, hit me back in 30 minutes. So they get these guys,
they got OSHA regulations, guys. They're like, we're not getting flagged with OSHA, guys. Nope. Yeah, we don't need anybody coming to audit us.
Dude, straight up.
They're like, what the fuck? What are you running here?
Yeah, it was fucking crazy, dude. And yeah.
It seems like it would be extremely hard to stop doing drugs being readily available whenever you need it.
Yeah.
Like that.
And that's like an interesting point that you bring up, because in the world of like the argument over the drug war and like availability being a deterrent or not, it's really only a deterrent like if you can eradicate everybody. Because, okay, say my guys, because they would get busted sometimes, right? And so then the phone number would shut down. You'd call and it'd just be straight to voicemail, which is always, your heart drops, because you're like, fuck, now I got to figure out where to go to get my drugs and how to get my drugs and all this shit. But it would always pop back up a few days later. And
the same number?
Usually, no, different number. And they would call you. You get a call from some random number like a few days later.
And they'd be like, guys.
You're like, yo, fuck,
the boat is ready.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay.
and it's back at it, right? But like that, so they had this layer of protection because the driver knows not to say shit. And frankly, more than likely, the driver is going to get deported instead of prosecuted. So like if the driver gets caught and they're an illegal, you know, what's the term, the more proper term?
They're here illegally.
Yeah, exactly. Like then they're more than likely to get just deported than to serve a sentence on it. And so the main dude who's behind the phone number, like that's impressive that he was able to. And I don't know how long he was doing it before me, but for 6 years that I know of. And then just one day the phone number was off, and just I never got a call again. I never. You know, they must have gotten busted at like the source or whatever at the know, because they just never came back into existence.
Do you think that was helpful towards your recovery or hurtful?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were saying like supply. I mean, indifferent. It wasn't. I was at that point, I was gonna find and had enough people to find it, and
That it wasn't a big
that
deal,
it
like,
wasn't.
just a different resource
Yeah,
now?
just a different exactly, just a different, person that I'm getting it from. So as far as, like, getting into recovery, I don't the argument that essentially the whole fucking drug war is built on is, "Oh, if we eradicate,
Right.
the source and, like, gotta stop all of it from coming over and whatever." That's just a bullshit political thing because that's just not how it works. Like, if you're not ready to quit, you're just gonna find a different place to get it from, and it's everywhere. Like, people who are not in that life, this is okay. Here's a story about how everywhere it is. One day I was sitting there waiting. I made the call, and he's like, "Yeah, go wait at this little neighborhood, spot." And this was like literally just could be any corner, any block in any like suburbia nice neighborhood. I'm sitting there waiting, and I see a guy go by and he kind of like gives me the eye, but he's driving a different car than I'm used to. But like I said, they switched the cars out. And so I
Yeah.
was like, oh, they must have changed the cars. And the driver didn't look exactly that familiar, but I'm like, man, they switch out the drivers too. And sometimes it's at the same time that they switch out the car. So I'm like, all right, fucking, he's clearly, but he made it obvious. He, slowed down, stared into my eyes and was like, I was like, oh,
Looking at
that's
your
the look.
soul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I'm like,
that's the look.
that's the look. Let's go. And so I follow him around, like same as usual, pull over, jump in his car. We drive around to do the deal. And he doesn't have like the right sizes of what I'm used to. He's because I'm used to buying these like at the time, like $20 size portions. You could buy bigger amounts, but like I was not doing real well financially. And so I was going to see him like, a couple times a day for these smaller bags. Anyway, the dude is not my dude. I'm like, why don't you have your normal 20? He's like, what are you talking about? I always only sell these $70 ones or whatever. And I'm like, bro, what? And of course, there's this language barrier as this is trying to happen
Oh,
because he
shit.
doesn't speak
Yeah.
English really,
Girl,
and
can I
my
talk to your
Spanish,
manager,
yeah.
please?
Well,
Because
that
this is bullshit. I specifically ordered
yeah,
the $20 ones.
yeah, dude, exactly.
Girl, that's it. Google review.
Yeah, you're going down,
I'm
bro.
going, yeah. Your business is done.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, oh man, like, what the fuck is going on? I'm calling the dude.
Mhm.
And I call the dude and he's like, what? He's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh shit, this is just another dispatch dope business that was meeting someone
Oh,
and drove by,
shit.
and we both mutually just didn't know enough and thought we were each other's. I thought he was my hook and he thought I was his customer.
Oh,
So
dude.
this is how prevalent.
Awkward.
Yeah, right. For sure.
You're all, let's do this again.
Yeah.
But you go find your
I did
dad.
actually think for a second, like, actually, I should get the number. But then because in case my guy shut down, I would back up.
Well, I know
Back
we
up
met under
dispatch.
these weird circumstances,
Right.
but in case for next time.
In case I need
Unless
you.
I got a
Yeah.
$70 next time.
Well, but he was like kind of like weirded out by the whole thing, as we both were. And
Right.
so he didn't give me the number, and I don't even know if I asked for it, but I remember thinking, oh, I should get this fucking dude. But that's to the point of like the availability. Did it make me more of an addict? No, like it was going to be available, wherever, to the degree that there's so many dispatch dope people driving around that I literally got in the wrong fucking car. Like, people don't know how right under your nose drug use is on both levels, like that heroin, fucking street drug stuff, but also like when it was but when it was like the prescription pills, the oxys and fentanyl, prescribed fentanyl, that those people are everywhere. They're your nurse, they're your server, they're your doctor, even. Like it people can do drug use and function in life, and they do, like, across the board. So no, I don't think that I see the train of thought where you're like, oh, dude, that must have made it really hard to just not be a full-time drug user. But
Mhm.
that's that particular addiction, especially opiate addiction, you don't take days off. Like, once you're an opiate addict, like, if you were to take a day off, you're going into withdrawals for sure.
So you're like taking from all these stores in one day then, because you need to fund your habit then,
I usually am trying to steal from one,
or just one big,
just one,
and then
big
that's
step.
it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Just to reduce like chances for getting in trouble.
that makes sense. That would be extremely hard to like One, like you're saying, it's just blowing my mind because it's like I didn't realize that that was happening like right under us. Like literally, like you said, like even the neighborhoods, like how many times have I seen a car that I don't recognize? Now I'm gonna be like, what are you doing?
I did, right? For
I'm
sure.
like, what's going on over here?
Yeah.
But in reality, they're just like dropping off party supplies for their fucking birthday party.
which is the idea, right? Is to not be able, if you are the drug dealer, is for citizens and especially law enforcement. But dude, citizens are just as much a part of law enforcement as anything, because they're the ones calling about suspicious shit, and like, boom, then you have a cop up in your business, so
Or watching that specific section.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so yeah, so that's the idea, is to be as blended in, to your point of like, now I'm going to be curious about how, but if they're doing it right, then they're not going to, you won't be able to tell in your mind or through watching it. Oh, are they just like waiting to pick up their kid from a friend's house, or are they waiting to pick up drugs? Like
Wow. And we are not condoning any of this. We are not telling you guys how to steal from organizations, because that is not okay.
Yeah.
This is a story, and this is where you were at one point in your life. And it's wild to think that you came out of that and you're looking back on it. And does it feel like it was you, or does it feel like it was like
that's
I
a good
don't know.
question. I mean, dude, in some ways, and oftentimes I think a lot of the shit that is gonna come out of my mouth and does come out of my mouth is not gonna fit the mold of like what people in the business of recovery. It was my identity for so fucking long, and this shorter period of 5 years has I'm still trying to put that identity together, maybe,
Yeah.
um
Like your growth is from 5 years, essentially, of like that life of 15.
yeah.
That's a
Mhm.
huge jump of like, you're not still there, because 5 years is a long time, but it's
Right.
like that still lingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like that's me in like I've changed in so many ways, like morally and principles and truth, and like who I am and how I show up to the world is like on the level of a saint compared to like who I was.
Yeah.
Like both in actions, but also in like again, like morals and like what matters to me, and how I treat people and all those things. But as far as like it feeling like me, like being good feels more foreign
Mm-hmm.
and almost like not false, but foreign and shaky than being bad does. Like bad feels like what I know.
So knowing those feelings, like at 5 years of recovery, like sobriety for you,
Right.
how are you keeping that focus on you and your recovery? Because it seems like that world keeps throwing rocks at you,
Yeah.
being like, hey, pay attention to me. And you're like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, this is not, no.
I mean, that's a great question. And I don't know that I have the answer. I mean, that's part of what is so like tough about recovery, is that like you have to like commit almost every day, or at least every week, to the new life, but you don't know what the new life is, so you have to commit to like the unknown and fear and chance and mistakes and like all the hardness of life constantly.
Wow.
Does that kind of make sense?
It does. It does. It makes complete sense that, like, yes, you've been in sobriety for 5 years, but every single day is a struggle of remembering why you're doing it,
Yeah.
with new barriers
Right.
that keep coming up that you don't even know about yet.
You're
That
right.
you don't know that that's going to be a factor, or I don't even know, like a speed bump or something that's going to bring that back, where you're like, oh, like this is shitty.
Yeah.
Like, to put that in perspective for the listeners, to look at your life when you're an addict and then be like, oh, when I'm clean, this is shitty.
Yeah.
No,
Dude.
you know what I mean? Like, that's not what the storybook ending says, right? They
Right.
always say that if you do this, your life will be this. You'll have more opportunities. You'll make more connections. And that's true for you.
Right.
You do have those connections back with
Yeah.
your family, your closest of close. And so there is some truth to that. But the fact that I think the listener should hear is that rawness of saying every day is a choice.
Yeah.
And yes, that easy button would be to call, and there it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you're choosing to not do that
Yeah. And I'm
solely on just you.
yeah. Well, yes and no. So like on the days when I feel like a couple things, like you said, like for the listener, we want to inspire them that like sober life is better, you know?
Absolutely.
And I remember looking outward from addicted life at like some of the sober life people, and I'm like, that doesn't seem better.
Yeah.
You know, and dude, the truth is in a lot of fucking ways, it's not. It's
Right.
not, and no one's gonna tell you that. For the most part, they're not gonna tell you that because they don't want you to, like, continue being addicted. I don't either, but I'm also not I don't fucking lie about this shit. Like, yeah, in a lot of ways, like, new sober life unless you were, like, a wealthy, connected unless your life was dope before addiction, you know, and things were great, and that is still there waiting for you, you know, that might be different, but for most a large portion, 99% of people, that is not going to be the case. Like what they have waiting for them are like challenges and like pain. You know, it's not better. Initially, it gets better, but even 5 years deep, like when I'm feeling like fucking giving up and buying heroin and then just fucking giving up, what stops me is not me. It's the people that I hurt. I know that when I get into, like, addiction, like, I hurt people. My family, my friends, fucking strangers, whoever, like, I emotionally hurt people. I don't physically I'm not a violent offender, but, you know, but I'm not far off from it. If I were to get back
Because
into
emotional abuse is traumatizing.
yeah,
And
well,
especially because everyone loves you so much that they don't want to lose you to that.
yeah, that's what stops me. On the days that it's like, why am I doing this? This doesn't seem that much better than it was, you know. First of all, that's uh deluded thinking. It's fucking better, you know, for
Hmm.
sure. Um in a ton of ways. It's just very easy to lose sight of it because they're not those ways that it's better are not there every day. Maybe out of 365 days in the year, maybe those better ways are only there like 100 of those days or 50 of those days, you know? And so for the other fucking 300, you have to like find ways to not go back to who you were. And for me, when I cannot use any other method or any other convincing style of thinking to stay in recovery, what it comes the final barrier that keeps me here is I can't hurt the people that I love that way.
Because these people, your mom, your dad, your sister, they were the ones that were most hurt
Oh fuck
during
yeah.
this time period.
Yeah.
So did you have to rebuild those relationships with the time, or were they able to see that you changed and came back, or was that a
It was
step process?
yeah, it was incremental. It took time, and it in part because I was someone I think almost every opiate addict is who relapsed a lot in my progression to becoming someone who's in recovery. And so they had a fucking dozens of times where they were like hopeful and they're like, he's looking healthy, he's acting healthy, he's talking healthy, he is healthy, he's better. And then boom, I'm not. And so I had shattered them so many times through that like that yeah, that I can't. That is the thing more than anything that
Because they want you to stay around who you are,
yeah, well, yeah,
who
for
you were
sure.
before the addiction took you.
Right.
And they know that person.
Hmm.
And they see that person, even the person that I'm talking to right now. Like, I'm advocating for him. I'm like, absolutely. I didn't know you as an addict.
Yeah.
So even hearing these stories, I'm like, there's no way. He's so headstrong. He shows up. He's not that guy that's going to let anyone down.
Right. Yeah.
Regardless if you're a friend, a co-worker, an acquaintance, like you seem like the dude that shows up.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I, that is one of the things that makes it worthwhile, is being more of that, those things you said, the person that shows up and that has like a good head on their shoulders and that supports others and that, you know, all those things. That is sometimes I see that I'm more that than like a lot of sober people. I'm like, holy shit. Like,
well, you had to look at yourself and completely say, like, this isn't working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I can't put a front. I can't have both worlds.
Yeah.
So something has to go.
Right.
And a lot of us can't do that. Like, whether it's for me, like, I know it's nothing comparable, but like, if somebody was like, you could never have a bag of chips again.
Right. Yeah.
I'd be like, why?
Yeah.
And they're like, because it's killing you. And it's like, and they're like, you're kind of mean when you're on it. I'm like, that's not possible. But is it? Sure. Like,
Right.
Food can really change your mood. You can turn into somebody else if you're hangry.
Fully.
You know what I mean? And that's like, it's not on the level of yours, but it's like, I couldn't even imagine something so small being said I can't do again that I enjoy.
Yeah.
That'd be weird.
Yeah. No, it sucks like to have to learn. It sucks. This is going to sound weird, but it sucks to become a good person. It just fucking sucks, man. It's a lot of work. And
well, I think it's because
shaky.
Once you're at the lowest level of being,
yeah,
you can't be judged anymore.
There you go. Yeah.
There's nothing to show up for. Everybody expects you to fall through. Everybody expects you to fail.
Yep.
Even yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's no marker of being like, I didn't hit that goal.
Yeah.
Because there's no goal.
Well, and there's also differences in, like, to your point about being like the lowest, like I got there. The other people's lowest is different. And this is, you know, a shameful thing to admit, but I want to admit it, because when I'm sitting here saying, oh, I'm a good person, you know, that's going to come off real fucking douchey if I don't also emphasize that I was the worst of the worst. Like, in the countless addicts and people I knew and criminals that I knew and whatever, I was the worst. I would steal from you. I would, I my addiction was on a level that it mattered over everything. The things that I did, and again, this, I'm saying this as an inspiration. Like, if you see yourself, and maybe truthfully so, as like a fully corrupted, worthless piece of shit, like, I see you. I was you. I fucked over my closest family, my closest friends. There was my addiction. I'm freezing because it's hard to let go there. It's hard to imagine that I was that person, but I was, like, one of the ways to say it is, like, there were other, like, junkies, fucking doing dope junkie every day, like, people who all of society would be like, oh my God, ew, that person is garbage of garbage. People like that were, like, judgy or scared of me because of how bad I had gotten. So, like, the lowest
shit.
of the low, yeah.
Oh shit!
That's how to say that.
The lowest of the bucket was
looking down
weirded out by you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, it was. That's how bad I was. I was very, 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 very bad.
Well, thank you for being so raw with that, because honestly, it's not even something that I would know from looking at you again. It's like one of those things that we do look at the person and like what they bring, and we're like, oh, that's your value.
Yeah.
And it's like your story's so pivoting and helpful, because it's not just an addiction. Like, we all wake up every day and we don't like something. We want to change something. And it's like we are waiting for this gift to just land on our lap.
Yeah.
And in reality, it's us putting that forward and saying, hey, I want to see this positive change in whatever it is in my life, whether it's to call your family more, or to text that friend every now and again more, or to just be more healthy, or just show up to work on time. Like, that could be someone's goal.
Totally, yeah.
Is just setting that forward every day is what you're saying, is saying choose who you want to be and choose you every time.
Yeah.
Versus what it was before.
Yeah. And choosing you, like, so even that was beautiful what you said. But to the addict who is in the fucking trenches, there's no you to choose. All they know is this fully piece of shit. Like choosing yourself, no, fuck me, I'm garbage. Like I don't know how to choose what self. Like the only self that exists is not worth choosing. Not only in their mind, but also by the way that they're like treated by, and again, often rightfully so, but by the community, the people around them, the other addicts. So for me, it couldn't even start with like, okay, I got to, like, I'm worth it. I got to choose me and I got to do these things. Like it essentially had to be initially, in the very initial times, it just had to be about not hurting people anymore. I just couldn't fucking hurt people anymore. And when you're that addicted, like you're gonna hurt people. Even though you don't want to, you're going to hurt people around you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so you going into that vulnerability of saying like you had to look at yourself when you had nothing.
Yeah.
And say, I can see something coming ish.
Yeah.
And what that was I don't want to hurt anyone.
When I got clean, like I'm pretty sure I don't think that my family was talking to me. I had no friends. I had nothing and I had nowhere to live. I had nothing but like the clothes on my back, right? And so it really, there was no like pull towards something like, oh, I'm going to pull towards this better life. It had to be a push. And like with a push, your focus as you're pushing is on the thing you're pushing away from, and so in like a mental strategy kind of way, they say, well, don't do that. Like the universe hears, like if you say not to think about an orange car,
and an orange car just shows up and you're like, there it is.
That's how
I knew it. The universe is listening.
Yeah. And so like they say not to do those things. Like don't say, I don't want this. Say, I do want this. Focus on the pull versus the push away from. That becomes not true, or did for me in that scenario where I had to focus fully on just pushing away from what I was connected to.
Wow. We will dive deep into those later episodes, of course.
Yeah, we're going to keep this one short.
We're going to keep this one short for you guys. And we hope that hearing this will help inspire you in some way to change your life.
And reach out and ask questions, man. Like if you guys have questions about recovery, you have an addict like friend or loved one or coworker or whatever it is, I'm happy to, and I will always answer honestly, so I'm happy to answer questions. So reach out if you guys are like, oh, like this guy sounds like
someone I know. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We will talk soon, my friends. Take care of yourself and take care of one another.
Yeah, stay well.